What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I've been watching the Supreme Court ruling very closely today, as many people have, in terms of, obviously, they decided not to rule in Trump's behalf last night. Trump has asked them to consider a stay on the TikTok ban. Right now, I believe the day is, I believe it's 9 days, 8 or 9 days from now, is technically the last day that TikTok will be allowed to operate in the United States, lest it be sold to an American company. There is absolutely no guarantee that TikTok will want to sell its proprietary technology and algorithm and things like that to a foreign company, as they might view it. People who think, oh, well, the guy from Shark Tank is just going to buy it. It's not that easy. It's never that easy. And we're going to get into it all after a quick word from, you might need this app, Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video's sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, if you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out. And Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for, and ensure that your internet is never censored. Now, everything I'm seeing online, some of the questions the Supreme Court are asking, some of the questions coming out of the court do not look good for the court ruling in favor of extending the deadline for TikTok to be divested. Essentially, they are forcing TikTok to be sold to an American company because TikTok simply cannot stop itself from exporting American information over to China. It was so simple. All they had to do was not do that, but they simply refused to not do that. And that's, to be totally honest, their own dang fault. Eric Daughtry writes, Supreme Court signals that it will in fact uphold the ban on TikTok set for January 19th, that's less than 9 days from now, unless the business is divested from Chinese parent company ByteDance. Now, there are people like the Shark Tank guy who's like, wow, we're going to make an offer. That's not how this works. There is no law saying that ByteDance must sell to an American company. There's no law whatsoever that can be enforced that would force them to sell. And there is still a very real chance that ByteDance does not want their algorithm in the hands of Americans. That is proprietary information. So the Americans buy TikTok, they figure out how to, break it apart. Now there's a bunch of other competitors. In fact, TikTok has been promoting on their app their own sister app in preparation for the upcoming ban. The betting markets do not look good either. 78% chance, it's rocketing up as the day goes on, of the TikTok ban. I don't know what it is now. I bet it's even higher. That's a 74% chance of it being banned. I don't gamble. I don't tell people to gamble, but that seems like easy money. The Supreme Court is now hearing arguments about whether TikTok is a national security threat. Arguments focus on data harvesting, which they did do and were caught doing multiple times because they just couldn't help themselves. But the bigger threat is that TikTok makes the next generation of Americans mentally ill That's according to its own employees. Well, we all know that people who have gender dysmorphia, it is a real thing. But there is also a thing called trans trenders. And these are people that are socially trans because they get posted on the front page of TikTok. You see this. We show that company insiders were aware of multiple widespread and serious harms, that they were often acting under the orders of the company leadership to maximize engagement, regardless of harm to youths. Quote, compulsive usage correlates with a slew of negative mental health effects like loss of analytical skills, memory formation, contextual thinking, conversational depth, empathy, and increased anxiety, in addition to interfering with essential personal responsibilities like sufficient sleep, schoolwork responsibilities, and connecting with loved ones. Absolutely none of this is surprising. And quite frankly, they use the same addictive features that you do at a casino.
Here's why your TikTok account is like a slot machine. I used to be a professional poker player, so I've spent a lot of time in casinos. And casinos sadly make most of their money from slot machines. They're cleverly designed to take advantage of an addiction method known as intermittent reinforcement, where most of the time it pays out nothing, but occasionally it pays out really big. And it's this unpredictability that has been shown to completely hijack the brain's dopamine reward system. And TikTok does exactly the same thing. Their algorithm is designed to just every now and then artificially boost your videos so that you get a little taste of fame. And they especially do this to new accounts so that users get hooked very early on. It's actually why I've created this account. I wanted to test this theory, and lo and behold, one of my videos has just popped off like crazy. They found the...
Yeah, it would be almost impossible for a brand new account of a complete unknown to ever get 500,000 views. This is just, quite frankly, the obvious thing, right? It is an addictive platform, but so is Facebook, so is Instagram, so is YouTube, so is Snapchat, so is, everything, right? Now, Supreme Court now signals it will uphold ban on TikTok over national security concerns and other takeaways from oral arguments. Giggity. Roberts is skeptical. This is one of the Supreme Court justices. Justices across the ideological spectrum raised doubts that the TikTok ban even implicated the First Amendment. That's a very bad sign for TikTok, because to win, it has to prove that the First Amendment applies in a case, and then that the law has failed to meet its test. Essentially saying, hey, TikTok is free speech, it should be protected by the First Amendment. That is incorrect. An application is not free speech. Free speech is free speech. They're not, and it also says, in exchange with a lawyer for the application, Chief Justice John Roberts said that in passing the law, Congress was, quote, fine with the expression. They're not fine with a foreign adversary, as they've determined it is, gathering all this information about 170 million people that use TikTok. Roberts also pressed TikTok's lawyer on the lack of precedent of the court striking down a law on First Amendment grounds that was crafted around regulating a company's corporate structure. Justice Elena Kagan also had questions, suggesting she was not sure that the First Amendment even applied in this case, though later in arguments, she also had skeptical questions for the government. The law is only targeted at a foreign corporation, which doesn't have a First Amendment right, she said. Kavanaugh also leaned into national security concerns. Traditionally, the Supreme Court has deferred to the other branches of government when it comes to foreign security. Quote, for years, Chinese government has sought to build detailed profiles on Americans, where we live, work, who we're friends with, and who our coworkers are, what our interests are, and what our vices are. Prelogger, making her final argument on behalf of the Biden administration, told the Supreme Court. TikTok's immense data set, she said, will give China a powerful tool for harassment, recruitment, and espionage. Well, let me tell you this much at least. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, just about every app you would ever consider using already sells your data to China, or sells your data to somebody who then sells it to China anyway. Like, it's not even up for, it's not even up for debate. So if you think that banning TikTok will keep your data out of China's hands, I assure you it will not. But everything now signaling, this as the surprise winner of the TikTok ban. A simple workaround might undermine America's biggest move against the app. If nobody intervenes before January 19th, TikTok will become impossible to access via the American internet connection. It will probably remain possible to access from an American location, though. The rubs are, of course, VPNs. VPNs will be used to get around this. People will use a VPN to get on software. But I don't know if that necessarily works, because all the TikTok influencers probably won't be able to get paid once it's banned in the United States. There will probably be further lawsuits that say, hey, this doesn't look good. I said here, my prediction is that the Supreme Court will uphold the TikTok ban. Considering TikTok censors and cancels my Glass account, it being gone will be good for the world. My prediction is it will be down for a day, not based on anything. Didn't Rumble mention an interest? Sure. I mean, it would be cool if Rumble bought it. I don't know if they have that kind of money. I have no idea what it would sell for. But, I don't think that it looks good. Now, could they sell to Kevin O'Leary and these other people who say, oh, now we're making an offer. We're going to make an offer to buy TikTok. Kevin McCourt and Kevin O'Leary offer to buy TikTok after securing investors' debt financing and go ahead from the White House. Okay, but that does not mean that TikTok will sell. So it remains to be seen if the app will be available in this country or if people will just use a VPN. Maybe ByteDance is just going to say, nope, we're not doing that. We'll have to wait and see. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please do subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.